Hello, this is Alex, and welcome to this video, which is, a kind of a tip video on the difference between single and double quotation marks in PHP. Now, often when I'm helping people, I come across people that are confused about, the use of single and double quotation marks, particularly when using variables. Things like that. So I'm just going to, essentially go over the difference between single and double quotation marks in PHP, and the different ways that we can use them, and not the correct and the wrong ways, but the ways that have been often tested to be faster. Of course, when you program, things are about readability and how you can read code and how other people can read code. But it's often good to adhere to one standard. So if you have, say, 2 or 3 people working on a project, everyone adheres to the same standard. Really, when you're writing code, with something as simple as single and double quotation marks, the speed difference is often, irrelevant. It doesn't really matter. But this is just a quick video to go over some of the ways that we can, sort of make this a lot easier for ourselves. Okay, so my way of doing things is when I go ahead and say echo something out. If it's just plain text, I will always use single quotation marks. So, for example, if I was to say echo hello world, I've only used text. I'm using single quotation marks. Nothing in this needs to be escaped, so there's no additional, say, hello world, even though that doesn't make sense. Usually I'd have to escape that character there. However, there's nothing within this that needs to be taken into account. So when I refresh on my browser, let's get rid of that S, it doesn't make sense. When I refresh, it's just got hello world. So, really this is what I would do. Now, let's say we had a variable. So name equals Alex, and again, quite funny, but notice I've used single quotation marks around here because I'm just including plain text, nothing else. Now, if I was to say hello name, this wouldn't actually work. When we refresh in the browser, we get the actual representation of what we want to replace. So, we want to replace this here with the variable that we've defined up here. However, we're not getting that. Now, the one way to do it would be to use double quotation marks. Now, using double quotation marks has been proved in some cases to be slower. It works. It replaces the name here with the name that I've defined here. However, the other way to do this would be to use single quotation marks, but go ahead and use multiple parameters. Now, I say multiple parameters because a lot of people have not understood that the echo language construct can take multiple parameters. It almost acts as a function. So if for example I was to keep in single quotation marks, but I tell you what, let's write it from the beginning. It's going to make it a lot easier. So I'm going to say hello. Then I want a comma, a space, and then I want to concatenate on the name. Now I can obviously use a dot, so I could say name. So I'm using a full stop there. This would work. However, we are unnecessarily concatenating. Let's go ahead and concatenate another string on, which is an exclamation mark. So we're now unnecessary concatenating. We don't need to concatenate when we use echo. We can use commas instead. So essentially what this is here is an argument or a parameter that we've passed through to echo. This is another parameter that we've passed through, and this is another parameter that we've passed through. So if, for example, we were to do this, it doesn't work. That's because echo is not a function. However, it acts like a function in the fact that we can pass multiple values using a comma separated list. Now, if, for example, we were going to say sentence equals, or is it sentence? I think it's sentence, never mind. If I was to say sentence equals hello name, now you'll notice that this doesn't work. So let's go ahead and echo out sentence. That's annoying me never mind. So if I refresh, you'll notice that we've got a problem here. Well, you know, what can the problem be? All we've done is replace the echo with a variable. Surely that would work. Well, actually no. We would have to come in and we would have to concatenate this as well. Instead. That's because we're not using echo directly. We're concatenating this. This will now be this string with Alex replaced in there, and then we're just echoing that out. So when we refresh, we have this sentence echoed out. So, you know, you can see the difference between these methods. Of course, we could go in and use double quotation marks, which is seemed to be, you know, slightly heavier on processing. Some people might not worry about that, which is fair enough. You might not have that much output in your code, in which case it wouldn't matter. But, you know, the most important thing here is not that I'm saying to you this method's correct or another method is incorrect. The only thing I would point out is that concatenating an echo is probably not recommended. Everyone's done it, but the correct way would be if we were to echo something out. Of course, concatenation does work, but the correct way would be to use a comma separated list of values. However, we have different standards of coding style, which are all, you know, not arguing against each other, but they're all maintaining that their standard looks the best, performs the best. In actual fact, the only thing that matters is that you perform to a particular standard, especially if you're working in a group of people, even two people. If you were to come in and you were to write this, and then another person was to come in and do something like this, you can see how it does look a mess. Even these couple of lines do, you know, look a mess. We're not doing the same thing. We've used double quotes here, and then we're concatenating an echo, where here we're using single and passing through a comma separated value, and really you're not adhering to one style of coding. So my recommendation would be, when you start a project, even yourself within multiple files, keep the same standard of writing code and get used to doing that. If someone then says to you, use single quotes instead, you know, you can either choose to ignore their advice or take their advice, but the main thing is to stick to one coding style. And, you know, really this tip's just been about using single and double quotation marks. There are a variety of other coding standards you can adhere to. For example, a moment ago when I used concatenation, you saw that I used a space in between as opposed to using no spaces. This is part of the Zen coding standard, and it just increases readability. We can easily see that that's hello name thing and an exclamation mark. If we had, say, lots of other concatenation, and this, for example, was a variable instead of an echo output, the readability does increase. So that's just a quick tip on single and double quotation marks and how they can be used. As I said, there's no right way, but as long as you adhere to a coding style and you stick to it, then that's the main thing.